Yes, good evening. I know it's already the third Monday of 2024, but I would love to wish you a blessed, prosperous 2024 from the Monday Motivation. It's the beginning of the year. Of course, motivation is on everybody's mind. And tonight we're going to be talking a little bit more about that. We're going to be talking more, not about goal setting, but we're going to be talking about what prevents people from reaching their goals. I was watching a TED Talk and the speaker was talking about the fact that one of the best ways to guarantee failure, quite interesting, is to set goals. I was like, what? You mean actually setting goals can lead to somebody failing? And he went on to explain from his own experience that at one point he wanted to be an NFL player in the USA, which is playing for the National Football League. And he had this vision in his mind that he was going to impress all the scouts. But then unfortunately, he got this letter that said to him, you will not be drafted in the first 3 drafts. And in the back of his mind, he thought, you know what? I don't care what letter they sent to me. When I do my showcase in front of those scouts, I'm going to blow their minds and I'm going to be one of the only exceptions to be drafted on the first draft. And he said that on that day, he got there, he was doing his thing, and then as he was running, he heard, bah! And that was his calf muscle actually rupturing. And that was the end of the draft. And it wouldn't be long until he found himself as a candidate to become an NFL player. And of course, he was speaking from that perspective that one of the things that he has noted is that when people start to set up their goals, failure is almost a guarantee, which is quite interesting given the fact that there is a different school of thought that says people who are actually doing goal setting tend to earn 2 times more than those who don't have goal setting. And there was another interesting quotation that I heard that said this: one of the reasons why people do not like to set goals is because, again, it sets the parameters of failure very clearly. And it's almost like for some people, it is far better not to set their goals. That way they don't, whether they succeed, whether they achieve whatever they want to achieve or not, it doesn't actually matter. But this evening, if you are that person that believes in goal setting, I want to set up a bit of a framework for you. I'm not going to be talking about the same old set smart goals, make sure that they're realistic and then do everything in chunks. I think if you go online, you're going to find plenty of that. This evening, I want to talk to you a little bit about the mindset behind how do you reach your goals, but most important, actually, what prevents you from reaching your goals. The starting point, I want you to think about 4 things. I want you to think about yourself as the one component that can prevent you from reaching your goals. I want you to think about what you have and what you don't have that as something that can prevent you from reaching your goals. I want you to think about your environment. I want you to think about your resources and the infrastructure that you have. Those are the 4 components that I want you to worry about. When you think about yourself, do you understand what motivates you as a person? Because it is one thing to set that, let's say you set up that goal at the skies and then you fall, on the stars, or you fall on the sun or on the moon, whatever the case might be. Do you know what motivates you? Some people believe in setting goals that they can reach right now. And perhaps for them, for motivation-wise, it may help. For some people, if the goal is too big, it can get overwhelming because they get easily overwhelmed and easily anxious. For some people, knowing how they're going to get to a particular goal, having every single step laid out, it is far better for them. Whereas for some people, as long as they've got the goal in mind, it doesn't matter what that goal is. They're going to do everything they can to go and reach that goal. And there's nothing in the world that is going to stop them. So the first thing you got to understand is that in terms of you as a person, what motivates you? What is your makeup? Because if you don't understand yourself better, as we've been saying last year, you cannot manage yourself better. If you cannot manage yourself better, you cannot lead yourself. And if you can't lead yourself, you won't be able to make the necessary decisions to achieve the goals that you want. How well do you understand yourself? What is your own historical experience or record of setting goals and achieving and failing them? Do you understand your own process of getting to places that you want to get to? Do you have a method? Do you have a strategy? If you don't have methods and you don't have strategy, number one, you don't know your mistakes. You can't easily identify them. Number two, you're going to repeat those mistakes. Number three, if you don't know what you're doing very well, it's very difficult for you to duplicate your successes over time. And so the first point of what prevents you from reaching your goals is you. And I hope by being able to ask all of those questions, at least when it comes to you setting your goals, whether you're a believer in shooting for the stars and falling on the skies, or whether you're believing in setting more realistic goals so that you don't get easily motivated, it doesn't matter. But it's more important that you understand that you are the one that's going to be reaching those goals. The second thing is that you need to understand is in terms of the environment that you're in. Let's say in a country like South Africa, right? In South Africa, I did a little bit of a video the other day talking about the fact that the top 10% in South Africa, to be in that top 10%, you've got to earn 780,000 Rand annually. Many people were shocked, like, what? Are you saying that in South Africa, to be in the top 10%, you only have to earn 780,000 Rand a year? I was like, absolutely. And to be in the top 1%, you need to earn about 3.3 million Rand. Top 1%. And then somebody sits there and says, I want to make 10 million Rand this year. It's important for you to understand the environment that you're in. If you want to reach 10 million Rand, can you reach it only doing work in South Africa? Will you have to think about going outside of South Africa? Would you have to think about collaborating so that you can multiply your efforts? Would you have to think about scaling? And scaling may mean borrowing money, it may mean borrowing skills, it may mean leaning on more than just yourself, but actually starting to bring people into your fold. And if that is the case, let's say, for example, you're working on something that is an intellectual property that runs the risk of being stolen. Have you done the necessary protection against your idea? How well do you manage relationships with people if you do decide to bring them into the fold to try and reach your goals? Are you a relational person? And the moment that you start to bring all of these elements of complexity in bringing your goals, are you able to manage it? So you see, that's what I'm talking about when I say think about the environment. Within the environment, what is it that you would have to do to achieve your goal? The third thing that is important to understand, again, when it comes to reaching your goals, is about your skills. This is what I like about having goals. Number one, it tells me what my efforts have to yield at the end, right? So there's a target, there's where I'm going. It's almost like a goal is a destination. And if you're going somewhere very far, obviously you also need to have a map. You need to plan for how much fuel you're going to have in your car, how many kilometers you're going to travel, how many times you're going to rest and where you're going to rest, what time you're going to get there, and how long more or less is going to take you to get there. And for that reason, you then start planning about what resources do you need, what skills do you need, what tools do you need. So in terms of the skills to reach your goals, have you got those skills? And if you don't have those skills, what is your plan to get those skills? And how is that going to impact your process? And also, how is that going to impact your finances? How is that going to impact your resources? So all of these things are factors that we need to consider when it comes to goal setting. It's all good and well for us to set the goal, but in setting our goals, do we know the resources that we have to put together to achieve those goals? I remember this one situation on my side maybe about 10 years ago. Excited, my wife and I, and then we decided to start this boutique. And then we took the money that she had gotten bonus from this company. It was really quite a lot of money. We buy this boutique. The numbers looked very well. The income statements, balance sheets, it looked amazing. We buy, and we start making a lot of money. There's a lot of traffic coming in and out of the store, and people are excited about what we're bringing. But what we did not anticipate was the fact that a boutique business is a season business. At the end of the season, if you haven't sold last season's clothes, you've got to sell them at a reduced price, which is what we call sales. And that basically then reduces your profitability. And if your profits then reduce, it means that you don't have as much money to buy more stock that is new, that is trendy. And if it is new and it's trendy stock in high demand, you know the laws of economics, it means that it's selling at a higher price. And we found ourselves in a hole that became extremely difficult to get out of. And the reason why we did not succeed in that business, a big part of this, we didn't have the skills of understanding the markets. We didn't understand the trends. We didn't understand the patterns. We didn't understand all of those factors. And unfortunately, by the time that it came to about a year, we had lost almost R1 million in that business. Was it because of lack of customers? No. Was it because of a lack of the idea being bad? Absolutely not. What was it? It was because we did not do our research and we did not have the necessary skills to ensure that we succeed. And so that is the question that I have to ask you tonight, is that do you have the skills that are required to achieve your goals? And the last thing that I want you to understand is this. What about your mindsets? What do you think about yourself? What do you think about the goal itself? The reason I'm asking this is because many people tend to make goals that are only for themselves. And if a goal is only for you, and you are the only one who knows about that goal, if you get discouraged, it's very easy for you then to quit. But if, for example, you've got a goal that is more altruistic, a goal that is bigger than yourself, you can say, I want to make 2 million rands this year. And the question will be, why? Well, it's because I want to buy myself a car, I want to be able to buy myself a house, I want to be able to afford all of my debts. But here's something that a lot of high performers have experienced. I read somewhere that a lot of sports people that have won championships the year before, the next year actually most of the time don't get to win. Similarly also to the teams. But here's another fascinating thing. They say that most of the time after they achieve those championships, quite a lot of them go through a period of depression. Because if it is only about you, and once you've done something for yourself and the euphoria is gone and the dopamine is starting to drop, you are very likely to go into the depression mode. And that is why it's important that when you have goals, to the best of your ability, have a more altruistic approach. Let it be more than just about you benefiting. Think about something that can benefit your community. Think about something that can change the world for the better. Think about something that can stretch beyond your own personal gain. The good thing about it is that it attracts more hands. It attracts more skills. It attracts more funding. It attracts more contribution from other people, because they realize that it's more than just about you using people to achieve something that's going to benefit you alone, but it is something that is more of a legacy. And people like to be part of something that is legendary, that will extend beyond their lifetime. And so in this evening, as I've mentioned, those are some of the factors that can prevent you from achieving your goals. You as a person, the environment that you are in, the skills that you don't have, and of course, your mindsets. What do you think about yourself? In terms of the goal itself, is it only about you or is it about other people? In terms of you as a person as well, what motivates you? How well do you understand what motivates you, what demotivates you? Because for as long as you don't have that very clear in your mind, the likelihood is that when you get foggy, when you get tired, when you get distracted by those social media bing, bing, and then you get yourself stuck for 2 hours in front of a screen, and the next thing you know, a deadline is gone, time is gone, money has been lost, and the next thing you know, end of 2024, you are back again with some resolutions, and you're still in the same place as you were last year, probably even in a worse state as we were last year, because as we know, prices went crazy last year. So if you didn't make any increase in terms of money or any improvement in terms of your lifestyle last year, the reality is that this year, actually, you're starting in a negative. You're starting in a hole. And unfortunately, if you don't change some of the ways and the patterns and the behavior of how you achieve things, you're going to find yourself, sadly, in the same position. Should your goals be smart? Absolutely. What does that look like for you? Should your goals be realistic? Absolutely. But some people argue that realistic goals, if they're too realistic, if they're not big enough, if they don't scare you, then they're not big enough. So that's a contradicting philosophy, right? Should they be achievable? Well, you want your goals to be achievable because you don't want to be constantly living your life failing every year, not achieving your goals. Should they be time-bound? Time is crucial because time is one of the ways that we also measure progress. If you have this overextended goal and you don't necessarily have timelines that you have set, unfortunately, you can find yourself very easily being in a monotonous situation where you're really finding it very difficult to be motivated because you don't even know when you're going to get to your destination. So it is then important to have those short-term goals, to have those medium-term goals, to have those long-term goals. It is very important that on a daily basis, you've got specific things that you can achieve by a certain time so that you can make sure that at least at the end of every year, every day, you have achieved something, you've done something towards your goals. They speak about chunks and all of that is still very true. But I repeat again, the most important component to manage when it comes to goal setting is you. Can you manage you? So, 2024 is here. And it's going to go very fast. I have a very strong feeling that 2024 is going to be one of the toughest years in living memory. And if I am correct in saying so, it means that you've got to toughen up. It means that you've got to scale up. It means that you've got to wake up. It means that you've got to build yourself up. It means that there's a lot that you've got to do. You've got to rise up. You've got to armor up. You've got to team up. You have to develop what we spoke about at the end of last year, which is that upward mindset. Are you ready to go up as everything else is trying to push you down? If you don't have a plan, if you don't understand yourself, if you don't understand the environment, if you don't know what you need to, the skills you need to acquire, the resources you have to bring into your plan, the people that you have to collaborate with, if you don't know any other stuff, you're in big trouble. My name is Jabu Zwane. I didn't mean to be depressing tonight. I hope it was motivational. I hope it was encouraging. Enjoy the rest of the programming. We'll see you again next week. Adios.